And welcome to Flightdeck Live. I am Tim Capper, along with Cliffy D. Welcome to the post-game show for the Alouettes versus the Toronto Argonauts, as the Alouettes have improved to 4-0, bud, with a 30-20 win over the Toronto Argonauts. It was probably one of the most hard-fought games I've seen in a long time between these two, because Toronto has really just dominated recently when it comes to the Alouettes in BMO. And just overall, Toronto had their an 11-game home winning streak snapped, et cetera, et cetera. But this was really a hard-fought game tonight, even though the 30-20 score really is not indicative about this game itself.
It really isn't. Once again, kind of like the Eastern Final a little bit last year, also at BMO Field, which also the Alouettes won. It was almost like a tale of two games. Like the first half of this game, that just finished, that game was a very tight defensive battle. Like it looked like either team was just waiting for the right opportunity to go off. And then the second half gets underway, and that's exactly what the Montreal Alouettes did. They woke up and chose violence. And I got to tell you, what an absolutely outstanding third quarter for the Montreal Alouettes. They just broke the game open and truthfully never looked back.
No, not at all. So as it says, then the Owls are 4-0 for the first time since 2009. Alouettes now are on a 9-game winning streak, Cliff. It is a new franchise record for consecutive wins in the regular season. Again, this team, and I think they showed the stats on TSN tonight. They've not lost since Toronto last year at BMO.
Yep. I believe it's 287 days and counting now for the Montreal Alouettes since they last tasted defeat. And wow, what a journey so far. And it's still going. And this is what we talked about, is you got to keep it going. And listen, let's give Toronto a lot of credit. They played very hard. They definitely gave Montreal a lot of fits. And simply put, though, I mean, Montreal just proved that they are who they say they are. They showed why they're a 4-0 team. There was no luck involved. Let's be honest. This wasn't Winnipeg. This wasn't Ottawa. This was a team that can also find ways to win. They had to prove themselves, and I think tonight they definitely showed that, yeah, without question, they are the beast of the East, if not the beast of the CFL.
Yeah, and to be honest, I mean, we watched the game tonight, and in my opinion, I really think the Argos were able to exploit a few of the Alouettes' weaknesses that they still do have, and one thing in particular is the running game, and I know we'll talk about that a little bit more. But I really think that they showed, hopefully the Owls will go back this week and check the tape and make some improvements, because even though, as we mentioned on the podcast this week, even though where Walter Fletcher is listed in the listing of the running backs this year in the CFL for total yards, it's still a lot of improvement has to come from the running game for sure.
Yeah, and let's give full marks to the Argos run defense. I mean, they definitely they sniffed out every play. It seemed like every time the Fletch got the ball, it's almost like they knew right away. Like someone just tipped them off. Oh, by the way, you're going to give the ball to Walter Fletcher, and just right away they were all over him like a cheap suit. And yeah, I mean, Fletch is still a fantastic running back. Don't get it twisted. I mean, he can still turn on the Jets and make it go. But tonight he was pretty well kept in check, and got to give full marks to the run defense for the Argos for that. And that's despite with all the losses they had and with all the turnover they had from last season from that 16-2 team. We asked ourselves, like, what was this defense going to be like? What were they going to bring against Montreal? And they brought a lot. I mean, they made this team work for every single yard. They made this team work for every single point. I mean, technically, you could look at it as kind of a blowout in that second half for the Montreal Alouettes, but trust you me, like this team definitely had to earn every single thing.
Exactly, and as I said, it's different having Fletch behind the line itself, and things will get better as we saw at the end of the game. It's funny, you're talking about Fletch is still Fletch. Fletch still had that one run in the fourth quarter where the line was able to open it right up for him. It did come in the fourth quarter after the Owls were up, but still, it was able to show the Fletch that we know and the one that's been showing up this year. So it's just a matter of making a few tweaks here and there. But overall, I mean, as I said, the Alouettes have said scoring 30 points again. They essentially kept Cody upright most of the night. There was a sack tonight, but by the one of the most one of the comments that I had tonight is specifically after seeing Cody near the end of the game, and I think TSM made the comment right after I had said it out loud, is that you saw Cody had been on his back for quite a while tonight because of how grass stained his jersey was. But the thing is, though, as they said, Cody was basically upright for most of the game, and I think the offense has just shown how much of a juggernaut that they have been this early in the season.
Yeah, it's funny. I haven't seen Cody wear that much green since he was a member of the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Nice. That's nice. I like that one.
You still miss him, Sasky, because F you, just watch.
Let's talk about the game. As I said, there is more to the game itself than just one play. I mean, again, we'll go into this a little bit tonight and talk about the stats itself as we normally do here on Flight Deck Live, and we'll leave the bulk of it for the show coming up this Wednesday. But you look at this Owls team, Cliff. Cody Fajardo again just started so well tonight. He started off 11 for 11. And it wasn't like last week's game where, he had almost 300 yards of total offense passing in the first half. It was just consistent dink, dunk, stuff that, because Toronto, as they were saying on the broadcast tonight, where Toronto was making sure that they weren't going to get burned deep until the third quarter. But it's just Cody was just consistent. It's like flashbacks to 2023 again, saying that word. But again, 11 for 11, and it was consistency throughout that time until you that his first incompletion.
Yeah, and he was, as you said, consistent in finding his receivers as well, moving the ball around, getting different people involved in the offense. We saw that first touchdown to Tyson Philpott. Absolute beauty. And that's what we come to expect from both of these gentlemen, quite frankly. I mean, they've been doing it so long and so well. And again, we now have another streak going. We now have another Cody Fajardo, Tyson Philpott touchdown streak going. So you love to see it. Cole Speaker, my God. I mean, if he didn't already have a coming out party, so long ago, and did he not have that coming out party at BMO Field in what was essentially a meaningless game back in 2022?
Was that the last game of the regular season where Davis Alexander got the start? Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
but technically Caleb Evans got the start, but yes,
true. Yes, correct. Yeah,
thanks. But Cole Speaker came to life for that game, and once again, Cole Speaker came to life in this game. Like, he was just absolutely outstanding, and oh my, he too scoring touchdowns and making great plays happen, making incredible catches out of nowhere practically, and just to move the chains. It's wow.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone was focusing tonight on Tyson Philpott and Keon Julian Grant making his return home, so to speak, as he is a Mississauga native.
Yeah, 60 family members in the crowd tonight, I heard. 60.
Yeah, and he came this close
to
scoring a touchdown and just couldn't come down. Like, he couldn't survive contact with the ground. My heart sank for him. And just like, they showed that shot on TSN of his mom and his, so excited, getting a touchdown. Oh no. Like, I feel for you. I feel for Keon's mom. It's tough, but it's going to come. It's going to come. You look at what Keon Julian Grant's been able to do so far this season, and it's just nothing short of outstanding. The Tutty's going to come. Just like, James Letcher Jr. is going to break one off. He had a couple of really nice returns tonight. You just get the feeling that he's this close to that house call, and I can't wait.
Yeah. Speaking of Cole Speaker, 2 times now this season, do we need to make that shirt? Do we need to make that Cole Loud Speaker shirt?
If he keeps this up, I mean, what choice are we gonna? What choice do we have? I mean, he has been he's been playing like his hair's on fire. It is absolutely fantastic. I mean, I still think back at the start of the season, a lot of the so-called experts were saying, well, Austin Mack's gone to the NFL. Who's going to be the stud receiver for the Montreal Alouettes? And I'm sitting there going, what? I mean, even if you were to disregard the two national receivers in Tyson Philpott and Keon Julian Grant, you've got Reggie White Jr. who's come back. You've got Cole Speaker. You've got all this talent, and you're starting to see it. Oh, Tyler Snead goes down to injury. Okay, that sucks, but in his place, you do get to see Cole Speaker come alive. Charleston Rambo even got a couple of nice catches this evening. Another guy that is kind of cooled off a little bit, but it all just takes is one or two plays to go his way, and bam, he's in the end zone scoring touchdowns as well. It's going to come, especially with this high-powered offense the Montreal Alouettes have. The way Cody Fajardo is just leading the charge, spreading the ball to his receivers, just getting everybody involved. I mean, my God. I mean, this offense is just scary good. Never mind the defense, which we already know is, I've said it and I'll say it again, and it was proven again tonight, an elite defense. This Montreal Alouettes defense is elite, but this offense is no slouch either. I mean, this is a team built to win, and win they've been doing.
Yeah, exactly. Heads up, you have Mayo Cliff. The final stats have been distributed by the CFL. Announced crowd of 11,165 showed up at BMO tonight, Cliff. And we, you know what? Again, we'll go over the stats here. I know it's a huge part of the game itself, but we still have to talk about the drive, and it is over the years, we will call. There have been specific drives that we've seen in Alouettes history where we will call them, the drive of the year or the drive of the game, where it actually led up to, I think it was one that was recently where it was an Alouettes 101-yard drive, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was either last year or the year before. But tonight, for a GOAT, a CFL GOAT, to make a public comment that drive in the third quarter is probably one of the best that he's seen in CFL history. That goes to show what type of drive that this was for the Owls tonight.
Without question. You talk about cinema. That's exactly what this drive was cinema. And if you folks haven't figured that out yet, we're talking about the drive that included I'm still another onside punt. Can you believe this, ladies and gentlemen? Once again, the Montreal Alouettes catch everybody with their pants down, and Jeshuan Antwi pulls off once again. Second and 20. Pulls off again the onside punt, recovers it to get a first down. No way.
2nd and 20. The last time that the Owls have tried, I think it's been like 2nd and 12 or 2nd and 13, something like that. The Owls have now.
I think the first time was, if I'm not mistaken, in Ottawa, it was 2nd and 18 or even 1st and 18.
Oh, the first one that he got right? Yeah, I think you're right. We'll have to go back and check that. But 2nd and 20, he pulls it off again. Jeshuan's been involved in 3 of these things over the past 2 seasons, and he's gotten 2 of the 3. The other one goes to it is to Cole, if I'm not mistaken, right? They had to Cole Speaker.
That's right. And what I loved was after Jeshuan perfectly nailed this onside punt, he just walked off the field, like just was chest puffed out, like he knew he was a boss. He's like, that effing shit is right. Like that. Wow. Like I love that. I love the way he came through with that, and just he owned it. He owned every second of it.
Yeah, and this is one of those ones that, and going back to the ones that we've seen recently, is that this is probably the closest one that could have been was this close to being called, that could have been called no yards. Because people need to remember that on these kicks, it is considered a punt, and the defender and the opposite team receiver has to be if they're within 5 yards and the Owls recover it. It is a no yards penalty.
That's right.
But this is probably one of the closest ones that could have been called no yards. But it wasn't. It wasn't so.
Yeah. And again, I think Jason Moss would have to challenge that if that were the case. If he thought that there was a possibility that, there was a possibility for no yards there, he would have had to challenge it. But
Ryan Dinwiddie? Yeah, he would. I'm for sure Coach Dinwiddie would have tried to to challenge that too. Yeah, I agree.
No,
Well, Dinwiddie would have had to try to if he thought there was no yards in the play, Dinwiddie would have had to try to challenge it because we kicked it.
no, I know that, but
Yards would have been
because
on
it's a,
Jeshwin. Would it have not?
no,
Because
because
they're the receiver. Because they're the receiver. Technically.
you're right. So
But it's okay.
bad.
No. But I understand what you're saying, though. I get
Yeah.
what you're saying, though. For those who don't know, those who want to go back and rewatch the game, whether it be on TSN Plus or on CFL Plus, it starts at 9:22 of the third quarter, and there was everything in this. There was everything in this play, everything in this drive itself. It went 8 plays, 68 yards in 3 minutes and 45 seconds.
Yeah. And let's talk about how that drive ended. Alouettes are lining up 3rd and 1. Caleb Evans behind center.
Who had failed on their first drive on a short yardage play.
Yes. Because it's not automatic, folks. A 3rd and 1, even if your quarterback is 6'5" and you know he's got the height and the muscle to power through to get that first down, it's not a guarantee. And we saw that earlier tonight as well. But this time around, we're expecting, okay, just going to keep the drive alive, no problem. But Caleb looks, takes a little peek outside. Didn't see it initially at first, but when they showed the replay, I saw it like he knew what he was doing. Instead of diving forward, he drops back a little fade pass to Cole Speaker to score a touchdown. Caught everybody napping, and wow. Just wow. I mean, there's no other way to describe what an absolutely incredible drive that was. And just that was the cherry on top as far as I'm concerned. To be able to score touchdown, nobody saw coming. And it was at that point where you just got the feeling that, yeah, the Alouettes got this. I mean, yes, I know no lead is safe in the CFL. I get all that and I can appreciate that. But after a drive like that, after finishing off a drive like that with a touchdown in such a dramatic fashion, I mean, at that point, you just had to know, like, okay, maybe the Alouettes have it figured out. Maybe as good as Toronto is, and let's not get it twisted. Toronto actually is a very good football team.
They were good tonight.
They just simply had no answer for the Alouettes. Simply put, I mean, that was just as good as they were. The Argos, the Alouettes were just that much better.
Yeah, and at a point, it really did seem that originally that first Tyson Phillpott touchdown was going to be the only touchdown of the game. It really did, because it was just continuous kicks for field goals from the Argonauts, and the Owls just trading field goals.
Yeah, pretty much. I said that first half was just, aside from that one tutty, yeah, it was a very defensive battle. I think that would be the polite way to put it, because people want to see touchdowns. People want to see points on the board. Field goals. Okay, whatever. But you want to see touchdowns, and aside from Tyson's in the first half, that was it. So I mean, yeah, a very tight defensive battle, which for some people is boring, but yeah,
it was still a very good game, as I said, because we still had the drama itself. Again, like I said, Caleb Evans failing on that first on that third down and short attempt in Montreal territory. It's like, oh no, now what? And then it sort of puts stuff in the back of your mind for Caleb Evans. It's like, okay, again, Caleb had to come in also because Cody got dinged up at the beginning of the third quarter. And he came in for 3 plays. Certain things didn't look right, but then he was able to. It ended up working out okay. As I said, it's we've seen where the depth chart was when it came to quarterback in training camp. It's obviously it's the same as it was last year, with Caleb being 2 and Davis Alexander being 3, but still, these sneaky good plays, it makes you think. You just got to look and see, and be able to see what you can pull on a team, and they were able to do that tonight. But
and credit to Caleb, but also he did redeem himself by scoring another goal line touchdown. So,
yeah. And by the way, for those who were wondering what we're talking about, it was John Cornish, CFL great John Cornish, who made that comment on X tonight about the drive itself being one of the best in CFL history. So I would say if Cornish can say that, I'll give the obligatory thumbs up. I'm not going to complain, right?
100%.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of the stats here tonight, Cliff. And again, as I said, we'll be going into this more in detail on the podcast on Wednesday. For the Alouettes, where are my stats? For the Alouettes, there we go. Cody Fajardo was 33. I didn't even know that. 33 of 41. He was 80% tonight. 284 yards, 1 interception, 1 touchdown. And we talked about that interception before. He just didn't see KJG open along the center. Caleb Evans was 2 of 3 for 49 yards and a touchdown. Again,
throwing and rushing.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Oh, it's true. He had 1 rushing too. You are correct. Cody Fajardo led the team in rushing.
Shocking.
13 yards. This is what we were talking about before, Cliff. Now, again, we'll go over this more this week on the pod. But Fletch had 6 attempts for only 11 yards. As I said, huge props to the Argos D line, but still, it is concerning, in my opinion, for Alouettes fans. This is something that I'm sure that they will be working on this week in practice. So, Tyson Philpott led the team. Cole Speaker led the team. 8 targets, Cliff, 8 receptions, 113 yards. Longest was at 44-yard touchdown. At 52 yards of yak, by the way, for him tonight. Tyson Philpott, 5 receptions, 90 yards, 70 yards of yak for the gent tonight, also with a touchdown. KJG, 33 yards. Charles Rambo, 22. Reggie White Jr. got into it also. Obviously, 3 receptions tonight, 7 targets, 48 yards. Fletch had 14. David Dallaire had 11, and James Letcher had 2. By the way, speaking of, before we can talk about the defense here tonight, even though it has not been as spectacular as it has been over that we remember from the last half of the season, James Letcher Jr. tonight did make a hell of an impact for the Alouettes when it came to his returning.
Yeah, as I discussed last year at the Eastern Final, he did have that house call, and you just had the feeling, like, just based on a couple of those outstanding runs to give Montreal great field position, you thought it was going to happen. You thought he was going to do it again, but and he didn't. But once again, you get the impression he is so close. He is so close to doing that, and even just being able to get to the ball to midfield even gives Cody Fajardo all kinds of time and space to work with. Really helps the field position battle. It is absolutely outstanding. I mean, this young man really is an absolutely fantastic returner, and that's something that the CFL always needs, is outstanding returners. And it's hard to believe the Montreal Alouettes over the past 2-3 years have had some pretty amazing returners in Mario Alford, Chandler Worthy, and now James Letcher Jr. I mean, talk about like embarrassment of riches. I mean, and the fact that as soon as a guy starts to falter, like, you go on to the next and on to the next. And I mean, right now Letcher's the man, but I mean, I wonder if he's starting to wonder too, like, okay, if I don't start producing, am I going to be on the outside? Am I going to be replaced? But no, I think tonight he showed that, yeah, he's definitely here to stay. And as I said, it's just simply a matter of time. It's not a matter of if he's going to get a house call, it's when.
Yeah, exactly. The Cameron Dukes was held 199 yards tonight. I think the Alouettes gave up I had to go back and check. I think they gave up a grand over 100 yards total tonight rushing for the first time this year. But again, I had to go back and check. Kadeem Carey was
he was awesome. Kadeem Carey, like, wow.
Oh, it was. I know. Yeah, 61 yards.
He was what we expected Walter Fletcher to be. I mean, that's and again, I don't know what that says about the Alouettes run defense. Like, I think they knew that Kadeem Carey was playing and that he was going to potentially go off. And wow, he was a problem for the Alouettes. As good as this defense was, as outstanding as this defense was this evening, Kadeem Carey gave them some fits for sure.
Yeah, Alouettes defense came away with 2 sacks tonight. Again, I mean, that and DeQual had a forced fumble, which, man, that was so close to being the Alouettes' ball when that did occur on that return. The Argos did come away with 1 sack tonight. Hold on a second. The sacks for the Alouettes were by Mustafa Johnson, Kel Surprise. He still had his shirt on, by the way, and then Isaac Ademi Berglund.
Jeffrey Countain also had some sacks.
Sorry, according to excuse me, I am reading the wrong stat. Apologies. It was actually Canton Arku who had both. Apologies. I was looking at tackles for losses.
Also
Hey,
a good stat. Don't get me wrong, but
well, remember, anything can happen when live. So
well, listen, we got to give Jeffrey Cantanaku his
yes,
flowers. I mean, he's been really starting to come alive. Definitely, what an outstanding draft pick he's been so far. I mean, I know it's early, it's a small sample size, all that nonsense, but wow, he's really coming into form, especially lining up alongside of Tyrese Beverett and well tonight Titus Wall. But I mean, when he had Reggie Stubblefield, in tow as well. I mean, like he knew he had to perform. Like if he was going to get given the opportunity to show up and show out, and that's exactly what Kantai Yarku has done so far. And you'll love to see it. You absolutely love to see it.
Talk about the defense overall tonight, Cliff. I mean, it's as I said, only held the Toronto defense to one. Excuse me. Our defense held them essentially to, I know they were, if you saw the Alouettes post-game show tonight, the defense was really ticked that they gave up that last touchdown, which I can understand. And they're like, we're going to get better. We're going to get better. It's not something that we want to give up, but we're going to get better. Talk about the defense. Talk about the defense tonight. I mean, Tyrese Beverett didn't make as much of an impact as he did last week, but man, he was still all over the ball tonight.
You could argue that he made not quite the impact that he made last week against Ottawa, but he was definitely in Cameron Dukes' kitchen, and that's exactly what you want to see out of him. And I mean, again, still early, folks, but I mean, you want to talk about a nominee for most outstanding defensive player? You can't forget the Bev. Never, never, never.
No.
And I do want to say one thing though about that one touchdown that the Alouettes gave up. Another garbage time touchdown. It was shades of Week 1 versus the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Yeah.
With a minute something left on the clock is when they finally were able to find the end zone. Same thing with the Argonauts tonight. And again, another high-powered offense that everybody expected to be competitive against Montreal. And look what happens. I mean, that was almost a mirror image, those two games, when you think about it.
It's true. It's true. I was looking at it. It's funny. Earlier tonight, before the game started, I had to pick a score. I actually had 24-12 in my head. I wasn't far off, but when, at all. Talk about the O-line. As I say, Cody was held upright basically for the entire night. Despite what the tide that's going to have to be used for his away jersey, and only one sack. It seemed that the Argos were able to get a hell of a lot of pressure on Cody. But some of the issues that we've been talking about over the past couple of weeks with the O-line, they seem to do pretty good. It really was not the problem. It was just a matter of the schemes that the Argos defense was running tonight that they were getting to Cody.
Yeah, Winton McManus was just an absolute beast out there. Just again, making this offensive line work for everything, making Cody Fajardo work for every point that he had to score or every yard that he had to gain. It was a hell of an effort. I mean, again, we talked about this Argos defense from last year. They had some absolute studs, and a lot of those guys left in free agency, and the guys that were replacing them, almost like they haven't missed a beat. And it explains why this team was 2-0 going into this game. Like it wasn't by accident. I mean, they make teams fight for everything, and Montreal had to fight for everything tonight as well. I mean, this Argos defense is no joke, without question. I mean, even though it's it kind of looks like they got dummied by Cody Fajardo and company, but no, I mean, as you said, the score is not indicative of what we saw out there tonight. I mean, this was definitely a very hard fought battle, and Toronto is definitely. You do not want to sleep on this Argos team. There's no question about that.
No, not at all. And I think we see them in 2 weeks, something like 2 or 3 weeks, something like that in Montreal. So it's
yes, indeed.
So
I guarantee that they will be watching this game and saying, "We cannot do that. We cannot do that." They're going to be looking at a lot of those. Like I'm pretty sure the coaching staff, they're probably already in the film room right now going over this game and just like, "Oh my god, I can't. Oh no," and they're going to have to scheme extra hard because especially when they come to Montreal, you know how great games are. Argo Alouettes games are at Percival Molson Stadium. Last year was a great example of that. And especially now having been embarrassed, not once, but twice in the past, 7-8 months in their home stadium, you got to believe the Argos are going to be working extra hard to try and get just a measure of revenge against Montreal.
Yeah, exactly. If you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to leave a comment. If you're on X, don't forget to do the exact same thing. And if you haven't subscribed yet, you can do so. We're on social. You can see it in front of you. We're on X. We're on Facebook. I know a lot of you guys are watching us from Facebook tonight, and same thing with you guys over on YouTube. We really appreciate you joining us for the show. That's why we started doing it. So it's again, we love all you guys for showing the love. That's what we really like. And very good point, by the way. And I was going to bring this up. A very good point by Manal. Penalties did kill the Argos. They really did. I mean, it continued drives. I know there were, I think, 3 offsetting penalties on both teams, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, roughing on the Argos. We had face masks galore. We had this, that, and I mean, it's just crazy how the Argos were able to just continuously allow the Owls to continue their drives.
Yeah, and for a while there, Montreal had more turnovers than the Argos, but you wouldn't know it just with all those penalties because every time Toronto would get just a little bit of momentum, inadvertent penalty just sets them back. They just shot themselves in the foot over and over again. And ultimately, folks, if you don't stay disciplined, you're not going to win a whole lot of games. And hopefully, for Toronto's sake, this is just a one-off. Just maybe this is not who they are, but I mean, that's just the thing. When you go up against a really good team, they're going to make you make mistakes, and they're going to make you second guess yourself. And sometimes you're going to take your eyes off the prize a little bit and commit a penalty, and that's just going to set your team back that much more. And someone like Cody Fajardo is going to capitalize on that. If you make mistakes, if you get in his grill, you do something, roughing the passer call, he's going to make you pay. That's the one thing we saw tonight more than anything else is Cody Fajardo will make you eat your lunch with all these mistakes.
It's one of the things we really haven't been talking about at all this year. They had, by the way, Toronto had 11 penalties for 120 yards. The Owls only had 5 for 65. And, those are the ones that were accepted, right? Stuff like that. So, I mean, again, things that you don't want to do. And it's funny, it's something that we really haven't complained about at all this year, and nothing that we've really brought up are the issues with the penalties. And obviously the other things that we haven't been talking about are the sacks that they've just, we've been able to the team's been able to do what they need to do. They made the changes, and good for us, obviously.
What a difference a year makes, because you're right. Because a lot of people were doubting this team last year, and when you saw how they were playing, yes, they were winning games. I think they started 3-0, if I'm not mistaken, and came crashing down to earth playing the peg on Canada Day. And it was like, okay,
don't remind me about that game.
Yeah, fair enough.
Actually, that's right. It's almost a year to the day. So it's
It was this weekend 1 year ago when that infamous Canada Day rainy day game happened.
Mm-hmm.
But that was then. This is now. This 4-0 Alouettes team has shown that they are for real, without question. And if there's still anyone doubting, check yourself. Just get your head in the game, quite frankly.
Again, we'll be going over this more in detail on the podcast on Wednesday. But again, it's the Alouettes are now 4-0 for the first time since 2009, and again have extended their now franchise winning streak to 9 games, and again have not lost since September of last year. So, So, guys, again, we appreciate everybody who showed up for Flight Deck Live tonight. Cliff, any last things before we head off?
Just again, what an absolutely outstanding game, and I'm also happy too that the Argos saluted Ricky Ray. He is now an all-time Argo. He was honored at halftime, and again, just talk about a menace for the Alouettes back in the day. I mean, whether he was playing for Edmonton or playing for Toronto, he always just seemed to have the Alouettes number more often than not. And you got to salute a legend like that. And it was great that the Argos saluted him, just like Edmonton saluted him a few weeks ago, I think at their home opener.
Yeah.
I mean, wow. Just wow. And he was treated to a great game. There's no question about it. I mean,
yep.
Maybe not the result he wanted, for example. But it's like I'm pretty sure he was sitting there going, I could have done that. I would have done. I would have done that. I would have done that. But
Well, the 11,000 that were there announced, I'm sure enjoyed the game. I know
I
because there
hope they
was.
did. I hope they had fun, even if their team didn't win. I hope they had fun.
Yeah, exactly. If you haven't missed any of the Flight Deck Live, remember you can check it out on YouTube and any of the other socials that it's on, so Facebook and or X. But again, Al's win. Cliff, I will be talking to you on Wednesday, and we hope you, the fans, enjoy and join us also. But also, if you missed it, hey, we may have already had another game, but still go back and listen to episode 240. It's available now in video or in audio version. It's a great show leading up to this game versus the Argos. So for the last time, Al's now at our 4-0 on the season and are getting ready for Calgary. So for everybody here at Flight Deck Live, for Cliffy D, I'm Tim Capper. We'll talk to you soon.